everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to discuss, are silver lobbies easy? And the answer is yes. And what I'm going to show you in this footage is why silver players fail, and talk about momentum and pushing, and how you can avoid making the most common mistakes from looking at the opponents. And we're going to highlight them and how you can just improve and do better. So even from the first encounter, let's take a look at just paying attention to how many teams are in the area is important. Now it looks like even from here, what we can see is that we got one team landing on each side of us. Essentially, we're sandwiched. And what does this mean? That means that we have to push one end or essentially get out. Those are the only options, and you have to make them with haste. Otherwise, you're going to be the meat of the sandwich. And so that's a pretty big risk that most players make, is by not moving and then waiting for something to happen. Another thing is to make sure that you garner enough resources and keep your momentum and keep moving to ensure that you don't make these mistakes. Get all the resources you need. Don't stop looting. Don't stop going for more areas and securing more space. So what we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead until when we start pushing. So let's go ahead and look at that. So in this push, we decide to go for the far right, and we see that there's two in the bottom there. You can see them just in a second. I'm going to pinpoint it here. I'm going to pause. Boom. On the bottom left there, you can see right by the bins that they're located there. So this gives me the ability to flank, but also for my teammates to play entry and refrag, and I can go for an effective flank here, and it does work out. Now they're all kind of stacked on top of each other, and they don't have information on us, and that element of surprise you're going to see is important. Now when people are positioning, they make mistakes such as this as they're rotating and they're out in the open, but they don't have a fallback, right? Always having a fallback plan is important. Having your escape route. So just getting caught in the open is one of the most common mistakes that most players make. Here's an even better example. I have an escape plan to go to the boxes if things get dicey and are bad. I commit to it, but I always have the left corner over here to go back to. Well, the seer is just standing out in the open. You don't ever want to just jump out in the open. You always want to have that escape plan. So for any silver player watching this, escape routes are key. And having what is your option after you do this, what are the repercussions, and what are you going to do? What is your plan of attack? Now don't overanalyze and overassess. Have it be your fundamentals. Having strong fundamentals are key. Okay, I'm gonna always make sure I have cover. I'm gonna make sure that whenever I push here that I may go down to a really bad area, but at least I can jump back to this area. So having that spatial awareness and knowledge, and a lot of silver players, even below, we'll even say, honestly, I'm gonna even say gold and below, and even some platinum players make this common mistake. Okay, so what we do, even though we know we got one knock on the left, unlike the other team, we assess and we try to get the information in front of us. Right? We know our teammate got knocked, but we're assessing and looking. So we push together because this is a 2v1 at this point, and we go for the direct route and pretty much commit. So easy knock, easy secure here. But the same thing, you're seeing the same issue, just standing out in the open. What if the Wraith was hiding behind cover? What if they had height? What if they went from a different area? Instead, they went for the most open play here, and then they get punished for it. Now this is a common mistake that players also make, is that, okay, well my aim is good, I'm just going to rely on it and win. That's not always the case. Just because you have good aim doesn't mean you can't forget about positioning, even very simple positioning. And it's funny because most people comment whenever I make guides, and even on my own channel, and I say, hey guys, make sure that you use cover, and I gave the basic principle, and the people comment, this is such a bronze level guide. And trust me, you see it at high levels and they make the mistake because they're overconfident. Don't let your ego get the best of you. So let's go and skip as we keep rotating. We've built the momentum. At this point, we got resources. This POI is pretty much looted because we just had both teams push us. There's no reason to stay here, and we keep rotating. Now we do scan the beacon and we get information. So we skipped ahead here, and let's take a look. Boom, information has been provided to us, and we know that somebody's rotating. They're flying in, so they're isolated. That tells us that they have no teammates potentially nearby, potentially. But we don't really risk it because maybe they were catching up to the team. But of course, we just hit the beacon, so we already know that. So they're already running away. We get the knock, and at this point, we can shove. Easy. Don't hesitate. What's interesting, I was actually just reviewing my diamond gameplay. And this happens as you start to go up higher in ranks, okay? What you'll notice is that as you get higher up in ranks, you hesitate because you don't want to get eliminated. If you're playing in lower tier lobby, as you start to rank up, you're more confident, and you notice that the window of hesitation is no longer there. I'm looking here, and in my diamond lobbies, I'll hesitate even for 0.5 or even 1 second, but here I'm just moving because I'm confident that I can just keep winning through positioning. Don't lose that because I make that mistake, so I'm sharing it with you so you don't make the same mistakes that I do and play dumb, essentially. So don't play dumb like me, always play smart. Caught out an opponent here, hard stuck it, and the reason why, and I'm surprised, once you get that damage done, you lost your trade. Let's go ahead and pause this here. This always surprises me. Don't let your ego get the best of you. If you lose the encounter straight up, You got to reposition and kind of bait them. Hopefully your teammate can hold your cross. At this point, you have lost an encounter. By hard sticking and going down is like one of the worst things that you can do if you notice this happens. But unfortunately, there's also the reaction time involved with this as well. So boom, now all we got to do is just get one more of them, and that's pretty much GG's even on this fight. But with all that information that you have, it's always a positive just to keep the momentum going. And they're hard sticking out in the open. And so, I mean, I'm hard sticking the fight here because, I mean, what do we have to lose? And they're just going to cut them off, and that's pretty much GG's. So we go for a finisher. I don't think I get the finisher because of the knock. Yep. And the rotation continues. Once you get this momentum and you're getting kills, you don't stop because your resources are better. Your armor's going to be more leveled up, and you just keep moving and securing space. And you know, based on all the teams that you fought, if you didn't get third partied, it means that you control this part of the map. Control of the map is so important once you start getting eliminations. Even if you know, okay, let's say for example, there was only like 5 teams, but you killed 2 on this end, then you know this end is most likely safe because the other 2 are probably on the opposite end. We call this I call it the Sherlock Holmes effect, where you start to break things down based on information that you have. Let's say if we weren't getting shot here, that they're probably occupied or dealing with something else, that gives us the opportunity to get the upper hand on them. And that's pretty much what we're seeing here. We got the jump on these guys, so we can keep moving forward. Now, I'm gonna go on and pause here. Here's a really interesting point. When I say we're using cover, right? You'll notice that we're just kind of shooting out in the open. The reason why, tip number 1 here, it's because we have the upper hand on them. They are not focused on us. Now, if they were focused on us, then you would need to take cover and play a lot more smart. But right now, because we see 2 knocks, I would highly encourage this individual, even if they had cover, to peek us because we're looking 3v1, essentially, right? So playing those odds, just because you see people pushing that are a higher skill level, that aren't, it doesn't mean that they're dummy aping. It means that they have the odds in their favor, right? Now, of course, this person could peek in 1 Magus, but the idea is that if you have 3 people looking at this person, you should win the encounter. And if you lose, I have no, dude, they must be a cheater. Like, that's crazy. Magging down 3 individuals all in almost 1 mag, that's insane. This is a good bait. This is also pretty smart to do using evacs, but of course, I would never pretty much take it at that point. Especially when you know there's 3 people looking at you. There's no way that you're going to make it. I think another team does try to push that was fighting them from before. Trying to swap to get the necessary guns that we need. And then pretty much get out of dodge. I call this don't window shop. Get the resources that you need. Don't try not to take too much time. Look for those essentials. If you say, okay, all I need is a barrel and a mag, then just look for a barrel and a mag. And if you don't see it, then that's pretty much it. And you rotate and you move. Most people get caught up and say, oh, is this a better gun? Always know your loadout. Once you're kind of committed to a loadout, don't obsess about trying to switch to a different gun that you may think is better. And of course, I hard stick this because I got the conduit heal. Conduit is absolutely busted. And yeah, the bait, even though they're trying to focus on me, I'm kind of baiting them around this corner back and forth. And it pretty much nets out for a nice, clean, easy fight and easy win. Last person's trying to run away. There's a positive when people run away, because you know that your area is pretty much clear if they're moving that way. Hard to run away from advantage. Pretty good play here. And let's skip ahead as we rotate, because right now this side of the map is pretty much clear. I'm going to be honest. I mean, there's like nobody on this side, and we're just going to rotate. So let's skip ahead to the rotation. Another thing is you're rotating, look for beacons, look for harvesters, because those can be a good segue of like where you could rotate to. Let's take a look where we decide to rotate to. We see most of the teams are on the south, so I'm going to pause here. Let's go and take a look at this map real quick once we hit it, on why we decide to go where we did. We can't go all the way to Harvester because by the time we get there, the zone will close. We can't gate staging because then we have Lava Fisher looking at us. I think we go through Skyhook side. I can't remember, or we push some. One or the other at this point. I think we actually go Landslide. Yeah, Skyhook is preoccupied with the team. So Landslide is actually a pretty good guess in who you could fight next. See how it's not dummy aping. There's thought process behind it and how you can keep your momentum and pushing. This is a problem. As long as you can understand that pushing has to come with knowledge and information, then you're going to have a lot more fun and engage in a lot more encounters because you're digesting what's in front of you instead of just moving forward and be like, wow, that guy surprised me. I can't believe I got shot in the back. I can't believe this happened. Yeah, I mean, that's because you weren't guessing or trying to garner information. This is why Bloodhound and pro lobbies is so popular, is because expediting the information, especially when you're like, okay, where are all 3 at? And you know where all 3 at, and you see one in a worse position. That's why Bloodhound, boom, can be a great co-IGL. It can be great for isolating opponents and just is fantastic. So it looks like we just, are we going for the beacon? Who are we cutting off here? I can't remember what we decided to do. Let's skip ahead. Let's take a look. All right, so we're trying to go for the beacon over here to see what people would do to rotate. But the plus side is we get to catch a team out. Now, with all our momentum, you'll notice that most people are going to be on blue. We're on red. And once you have this advantage, it's so much fun once you have the advantage. So keep working on garnering that advantage, because if you do, then you can keep it snowballing and moving. I always say, once you're rolling, just keep on rolling down that hill, and you're just going to keep netting out a win. Now, I didn't take any damage here, so if you don't take any damage and you're realizing you have a major jump on any opponent, you can keep securing space and moving forward. And the conduit is great, as you see the heal going out there to help with the resets. And look, you got yourself a free gen. And guess what? The teams on the north side are probably still fighting. Oh, and they rolled up, actually. And they rolled up a little late. Let's say we delayed this fight, then we would actually gotten shot in the back. One knock, meaning that we have the advantage here. Go in and keep pushing forward and secure it. This person was low based on the comms. I should have landed a few more shots there, but I finally got it there. Kind of got it together. And not too bad overall. Pretty good positioning. What we're going to do is we're going to skip ahead, because I think all we're doing is pretty much looking for the rat. We hit beacon, and then we see, based on the beacon, let's talk about this. So we have a rat here. You don't have to obsess too much about the rat, but you know the team is on the right. Skyhook is going to most likely rotate on the north side. If they rotate on the south side, they're going to run into that team. So either way, it's a dub. And the whole left side of the map is clear, meaning that we have our space and we should start to pigeonhole them. And we just pretty much let the rat go. I was a little greedy here wanting it. My teammates kind of reciprocated with it as well. We should have just went for the balloon and left. You'll notice that it was wasted time. I think we did see him. I think we just let him go. Do I stick on this? Let's take a look. Nope. Okay, so just letting the rat go, we did the damage. They're going to die anyways. They're not a threat. There's at some point you just have to stop chasing, because it no longer becomes worth it. So remember to try to think when stuff is worth it and when it's not. And they're not putting any pressure. They're not scary. So just essentially let them go. You'll eliminate them later in the lobby. So we know there was a team fighting here, and they're fighting on the left. And we see this individual located down below. This was a bit risky of a push down below, but luckily I am Vantage. If you don't have the ability to move and rotate, then just essentially have to be a little safe, right? Let's say, like, if I was playing Watson and I jumped down here, then how are you going to get up? What are you going to do? And even then, realistically, I didn't even go down there right away. I have had a VOD where I have jumped down there, and then I feel like I got stuck, and then I had to fly right back up. So we do get scanned. Remember, Bloodhound scan can be scary, but if you back up and reposition, then bait them over, there's always a positive. I think I get knocked here. This was an over push with no information. Here's an example of a dumb push, right? Because I know I got scanned in the back. There's a lot of things here. This is something to learn here. This is what I call, this is a dummy ape, okay? I'm pushing forward, and I get scanned in the back, but I need to assess the situation, right? That means that could be either a solo, or it could be a 3-stack, right? Or it could be part of the people that are part of a squad over on the right, because we do know there were shots over here. Now, it was dumb of me to stay here. Why is it dumb? Because I know somebody scanned me in the back, so they have my angle. And if I'm staying here, it's most likely a 2v3 or maybe a 1v1. I don't really know, but even then, somebody has my cross. So I need to be careful with that. But because I was dumb, I get caught out, and that became a dummy push. Don't make dummy pushes like me. Don't be dumb. Because then I almost threw this around, quite literally. I mean, we have so much momentum, and all because of me, I threw. Despite, listen, yes, I got a lot of kills, but it doesn't matter if we get eliminated early because they threw because I'm playing dumb. Luckily, we have gold res. The other team is kind of hesitating. This is why I say don't hesitate on pushes. Try to secure your backs and secure what you got to do. Otherwise, this happens, and they reset, and they get right back to it and maintain that pressure. I think the Bloodhound is part of their team. Yeah, it is. We do get this knock, and now we have a 2v2 or 3v2, and then it turns into a pretty much a clean wipe. There you go, 15 eliminations in. We do see the team on the far right, and then we see another team fighting, and we know that one of them is a solo. That gives us confidence based on them fighting here. This is a bit risky, I will admit, because they're fighting right here. Almost get the knock. Unfortunately, don't get it right away. Because this team on the top could have actually blasted us. This was us really shoving and moving. And getting a little lucky. Because we're essentially split. We're fighting two different teams here. And because these teams are playing so passively, this is why I talk about where you let your opponent pretty much do all the work. And you're playing defensively as a boxer, right? You're just afraid and you're not occupying any space. If you're not occupying space, this is pretty much what happens. Somebody will take the space from you. We do get to a close here on the video. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. The reason why is once this team is eliminated, all we're going to run into is a rat at the end. Then I'll skip over to the rat, which was, I think it was the Valkyrie that we ran into earlier. So identifying information is key. Got the knock. Now we're dealing with potentially a 3v2. that momentum. And keep in mind, you can tell when people are scared. And so let's pause. How can we tell if people are scared? When they're not putting any pressure, when you notice that they're not holding, when they're not using defensive legends, when they're not using utility, and they're scrambling. That's when you know teams are scared and their communication is all over the place, and you can isolate them. So use that as a tip. Now, if they're putting down traps and they're throwing their ultimates and they're getting bunched up together, then you know that they're trying to rebuild that confidence, right? So just be careful about that. So now let's go ahead and skip ahead. We pretty much just gate this team, and that's just pretty much GG's. We try not to get greedy because zone 4 to 5 is extremely brutal. And they know that too, and they have no choice but to just eat the zone. And then this becomes just pretty much a GG's. I think we even leave the Pathfinders. Like, there's no even reason to fight here. Like yeah, you can take it, but like, what's gonna happen to you? Like, you're just gone. That's it. So just leave him. We'll die to zone. You can grapple away, reposition, but he's not gonna make it. I got a little greedy with it because I really wanted it. And unfortunately, this was not 20 eliminations. It was close because we get to the very end here. I was hoping that they would res. We tried to give him a beacon so I can get a 20 bomb, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. The guy was lagging all over the place. Poor person, punch him out, and GG's. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to leave a like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you guys all in the next one. Bye, everybody.